Welcome to the Haddonfield Horrors Podcast, where we review horror movies and horror movie franchises. I'm Mark,
I'm Tawan.
I'm Maria.
and today we are joined by two guests, Jamie and Karina. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
And they are joining us to help us review Midsommar, which came out in 2019, directed and written by Ari Aster. But before we get into any of that, Maria, can you give the people a plot summary?
Danny and Christian are a young American couple with a relationship on the brink of falling apart. But after a family tragedy keeps them together, Christian invites the grieving Danny to join him and his friends on a trip to a once-in-a-lifetime midsummer festival in a remote Swedish village. What begins as a carefree summer holiday in the North European land of eternal sunlight takes a sinister turn when the insular villages invite their guests to partake in festivities that render the pastoral paradise increasingly unnerving and viscerally disturbing.
But to start with, I just want to say, if Danny would have stayed her ass home, she would have been completely okay. Like, she accepted a pity invite and then could have been murdered, and now she's stuck in some commune, all due to a pity invite. Like,
But
they didn't
maybe it's
even
where
want
she
you
was
there.
meant to be.
Maybe.
It was meant to be.
She got a new family.
Yeah, she had a village who felt her feelings with her. She was just very emotional. And she
Okay,
didn't
but
want her relationship to end. He was literally, I guess, the only thing she
yeah,
had.
but she lost her family to murder suicide to be a part of a family that praises suicide. No, we'll save all that for when we get to the character section. But I just want to start off by saying I didn't like this movie. I watched it 4 times, twice
Oh
sober,
my God, I knew it.
twice high. I
I thought
listened to
so.
a bunch of podcasts. I watched kill counts, and I don't like folk horror. This reminded people kept telling me, "Oh, it's just like The Wicker Man," but they were saying that in a way to like, "Oh, it's good," and I was like, "Ooh, ooh, no, it's bad." If it's like The Wicker Man, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go into this unbiased, and then I was like, yeah, they're right. It's like The Wicker Man, and I fucking hate it. Like, this isn't for me. But
He said-
what did you guys think of the movie overall? Give me your first impressions when you first sat down to watch it for the first time. Let's go with Jamie and Karina, or Jamie or Karina, or however just go.
Okay, so the first time we went to go see it, it was actually me, Karina, and Maria, and our brother Tony. And honestly, the first 5 minutes of it, I was like, dude, what are we watching? Because it went from like 0 to 100 in like 5 minutes. But then, like watching the whole thing and like sitting through it, I remember walking out the theater and being like, what did I just watch? And I think we were all kind of like in shock from what we just finished watching. But once we got to process it and talk about it, I think we all like genuinely enjoyed it, and like we like love talking about the movie afterwards too. Karina?
Yeah, I remember once we got out the theater, what Jamie wanted was a DVD to it immediately to see the release date. But yeah, I loved how all the visuals looked, and the gore was really unexpected, but it was shown pretty okay, especially for that it made it
The
on.
movie does look good. I will say that it looks really nice. Maria.
like the beginning was nuts, and when I saw that opening scene, I had no idea what to expect. It was a really pretty movie. I liked how everything was in daylight. Like everything that was kind of weird going on was in kind of during the day. I feel like you don't really see that in horror movies. Most horror movies, everything's dark and they make it gloomy and as dark as they can so it could be scary. But
It's
now you're
always at night.
scared. Yeah, but now you're scared and it's daylight. Um, but I loved the movie and I love talking about it. I love like dissecting it, and like I feel like each time we watched it, because we did watch it a lot and we also did buy the DVD. But every time we watch it, you like find something new, and then we like look more into like behind the scenes and stuff. And I personally really, really, really liked the movie when I first watched it.
I'm sorry. Go on.
So, I really liked Midsommar. It was also just
Wow.
yes, we know you didn't like it. So just like them actually saying I bought the movie on DVD, like which it took forever for that DVD to get in because I got the one from like A24 and I was like, y'all drag with shipping, but that's another story. But um, I really did like the movie because, of course, so after Hereditary, I was like, okay, what are we gonna get next from this guy? Literally, the next year, I was like, oh shit, we have another movie already.
Yeah,
Um,
same.
which I was like, yeah, that's impressive because I'm pretty sure you're gonna talk about it later, Mark. But he did this movie like right when Hereditary was releasing, so he
Yep,
like he did like
he
back to back.
started production on Midsommar the day after Hereditary premiered.
That's crazy. The work
I've never
ethic.
seen Hereditary, by the way.
Oh, now you're gonna be on a treat too. But yeah, I really like this movie a lot. Like I like just like them. Like I've watched like a lot of stuff on it, like dissecting it and all of that stuff. And I think the the whole thing of you know Danny trying to like find people to like share her emotions with was like a bit interesting as like as far as like a plot point went for like the movie and everything, and also like Maria mentioned it being taking place a lot during the daytime because usually in horror movies like the daytime is like safe. Like anytime you're in a horror movie, daytime is just like automatically like safe zone in your head. You don't really think much is gonna go home. I mean, I guess they go on um, when you're like in the daytime like a horror movie, but for this one to like mainly take place during the day and like have like the type of visuals that was happening and a lot of the stuff that was going on, it being it really couldn't like take be a lot of like stuff hiding in the dark. It was more stuff like the stuff that you saw was like more horrific than what you didn't see.
There was only one death at night, and that was the black guy.
Yep.
Huh. No, I have to say, my main issue with this movie is that I pretty much had it figured out like right away. Like I could just tell what was gonna happen. Like the moment I saw Pele and Danny interact, I was like, "Oh, this guy is bad. He's. There's no way he's good. This conversation on the couch is too weird for him not to be like a crazy murderer person."
It was
The moment I met Mark, I wanted to kill him, so I knew he was gonna die. It was too like I could figure it out, but I'm obsessed with horror movies, so I guess that's my own fault. But the actor who played Pele was cute. I was
he
digging it.
was cute. He was
He
so
was.
cute. I would have fallen for all that too, to be honest.
Oh, I wouldn't have, but it would have been like a nice like I don't know, but the movie that I thought I was about to watch is completely different than the movie that I watched. Based off that like opening scene, like I was convinced that we were gonna find out that her sister was in a cult and this was just like her sacrifice and she was taking her parents with her and it was like this whole big ploy to get Danny the whole time. But no, that's not what happened. I was like, oh, eh, the sister had nothing to do with the cult. I was let down.
Yeah.
That's what I was going. I was like, yeah, her sister's part of the cult, and she killed herself for the cult. And this has been Pell's mission the entire movie, and now she's finally there. And I thought Danny was going to be the sacrifice, but no. But let's talk about some of the scenes. Good, bad, mid. I think my favorite scene is that call when Danny calls Christian and all you can hear is her scream.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I was like I was like, what the fuck? That's when the movie first got me. I was like, okay, now I'm in because what the hell is about to happen? And then it quickly went away. But what about you guys? What are some scenes that you guys enjoyed?
I mean, I think definitely the I forget how they pronounce it. It was like Adastupa, or the suicide jumping scene of the like the older people. Like just because I didn't know what to expect, like I was watching it, like just like them, like Danny and like Kristen and the other outsiders, who didn't know what was going on. I definitely was not expecting that to happen, um, and the way it did, The way it was shot was like it was really like even though people were jumping off a cliff, it was really nice the way it was shot. But
The sound design was great.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it was just like very like the way like Danny reacted, I was reacting the same way. Like my hand was like over my mouth. I was like, oh damn, they really just like jumped off like that. And like everyone else, like they just thought it was like not they thought they it was just normal for them because like this is their what their community is used to. Even when like the people were like the outsiders were reacting like the other European couple, it was like an old lady there. She was looking at them like, "Oh, what, is this weird to y'all?" Like, because like yeah, it's weird. Like people are just like they're just killing themselves right now, and even
I spoiled that for myself by accident. I was trying to like do a little pro. I was putting together a promo for Instagram, and that was one of the videos that I used. Like when she
hmm
like up until when she grabbed his arm, I had saw all of that, so I was like, damn, someone's about to jump off that ledge. So when I saw it in the movie, I was like, okay. But then seeing that lady's head hit that rock, I
yeah,
was like, what the fuck? Then he all started to like make weird sounds because the guy was in pain, and I was like, I'm out of it again.
yeah, which I thought, but I like that though. Like I like what they were doing there with that because like they were like supposed to be like sharing the pain and the emotion of what the other person was going through, which like interesting as like a concept. But yeah, I'll
Eh.
probably say as far as the scenes that I did like, that was probably the one that I liked the most. Also, I I did like the scene of when Mark like pissed on that tree.
You pissed on the ancestral tree.
The tree? So
Yes,
what?
yes.
So what? I didn't know.
No,
Because he was such a dick.
Why? Who? No one pisses on a tree that's like open.
Right? Then
And
like
and if and if you are gonna piss on a tree, you piss on the other side, away from the people. You don't pee where everyone can see you.
Exactly. Like
That's
there's a
not
whole
what we do.
forest. There was a whole forest right there, bro. You could have just took a couple more steps. You'd have been right in the clear. I mean, you probably would have died anyway, but like they went after you even sooner because of that.
You're like that guy was staring him to death at the dinner table. I
As
was
he
like, yeah,
should.
he's gone. Jamie, Karina, what are some of your favorite scenes or
Um,
standout scenes?
One of my favorite scenes was probably the dance competition, just because there you can see Danny feeling more at home in the community. What's what they kind of wanted all along. Like it was after when she was invited to start making the supper, and you can see she was still kind of like standing out, like she didn't really belong, and you can see that on her face. But once the dance competition started and she was down to the last three, you can see her actually getting along with all of them, the girls, and I just really like it because you can really see her finally getting along, and then before it all spins to chaos. How you, James?
Um, I will say I have a lot of like favorite scenes where like what Mark said, like the beginning of it where like she's crying on the phone, like you can really hear how hurt she is. Another one that I liked was when Danny just sees like what Christian is doing in that house, and like she goes and like she bawls, and like the women go and bawl with her. But my favorite one is at the very ending for Danny when she sees like the whole house, like uh the whole temple like burning down, and she like is like really like crying at first, but then she kind of just like starts smiling. I feel like it's like satisfying for us seeing her like after like everything that she went through in the movie, and then for her to just finally in her own way like be like, I guess, at peace, I want to say. But I just feel like it was really satisfying, especially the way like Christian treated her the whole movie. It was yeah.
She was high that entire last like 30 minutes. I don't I don't think she knew what the fuck was going on. They drugged that lady out of her mind. Go ahead, Maria. What are some of your favorite scenes?
I think everybody was on drugs though, but anyway, I liked the beginning when they found the sister and the parents and stuff and what she did. Cause I don't know, it's just kind of really scary, you know, like you see her face, you see her like she had this tube taped to her mouth and looked like she threw up a little bit. She just looks awful. Um, and also the scene where those people, you know, cliff dive to their death. That one was kind of a lot. I mean, it was my favorite because it was also like it was gory without, you know, them putting too much focus on the scene. You know, I feel like in other movies there's like music and you hear like, you know, the thud and the blood or whatever, but this is it just I feel like they were trying to make it normal because to them it was kind of normal,
Hmm.
but to like the outsiders, you know, like Danny, Christian, Sean and Connie, you know, they were
Long,
like what the fuck.
long observed custom.
Custom.
Yes.
It's fucked.
And
Those two who jumped.
the scene, I think when Danny wins, what was it called? I think it was the
May Queen.
yeah, the May Queen. And like everybody's cheering her on. You see in the background where like cause you know, cause she's like high as fuck. So
Yeah.
so everything around her starts to like distort and you see like her like images in the trees and then she
Oh
sees
yeah.
like her yeah right she sees her mom and it's just like it's a trippy scene. It gets pretty to be honest, but it's also really trippy and you're
It's
just like what the fuck is
unsettling.
going on. Yeah. Also when they start putting in all the people like into the that house that they're gonna burn down, and you see like what they did to everybody and you're just like oh my god. And then when they put in the two sacrifices in there, um and it's who is it that went in? I think it was
It was so the two sacrifices were not Pele but his other guy. I think his name was Ingmar. I think that was his name. And then it was also the gentleman who was staring down Mark for pissing on the tree. It was
oh
those two
yeah.
guys.
Yeah, and then you see like Christian in there too, but he can't move.
Hmm.
So he can't scream when the fire is like consuming everybody. That scene was also it was nuts.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, wait, there was one I think. One I did forget to mention was the first time were when they gave them the tea and like the mushrooms and they were tripping. That was I did like that scene just because it was very close to what you would experience if you were actually tripping. Like the kind of visuals that they
Oh
were
yeah.
seeing, like as a person who tried some shrooms and stuff before,
That's
that
how it
was
actually is.
exactly.
Those others like movies or whatever that have people like seeing animated characters and seeing weird shit. That doesn't happen. You just stuff feels different.
Yeah,
Like touching shit feels different. Your clothes feel different. Like I was hugging a pillow once because it felt amazing. Like that's what it does to you. So like I like the visuals because it's like, oh, she's not like seeing fucking grass grow out of her hands. It's just showing her that she feels the grass differently. And I was like, that's a good visual cue.
yeah. So yeah, I did like that scene just because of that felt pretty real, is what you probably would see if you were like under that.
I would say the only scene that I like I really like other than that opening scream was the transition from the apartment to the airplane bathroom.
Oh yeah,
That was amazing.
that was nice.
That was like, and then she was like trying to cry softly on the plane in the plane. I was like, oh, that's the worst place to want to break down, but try not to break down. Like you're literally stuck in the air in a small ass bathroom. I was like, I feel for you, girl. I feel for you. But there are some scenes I do not like. Well, there's 95% movie I do not like, but the scenes I do not like. The first scene I don't like is when they arrive. I'm like, so you see all these people just randomly out here on the field. There's no cell phone service. Now there's these two British people, but I don't see anyone else here besides the four of us and then the two of them. Was there no one else coming back from this, this voyage away from your homeland until you come back? Like, there are questions that's supposed to be asked here. People weren't asking questions. I was like, eh. And then the scene with the period blood and the lemonade. Did no one notice that his lemonade was different color than everyone else's? No one thought to say anything. And he just nonchalantly, oh, it's a pubic hair. Like, it's a pubic hair. That needs to be a big deal. Like, why aren't red flags being raised? Like, what's happening right now? I was like, this is pissing me off.
I think
But
they
what
were
about you?
all no, well, because like I think they were all just so like self-absorbed in their own reason why they were there. You know, like Josh was there because of his thesis. Mark was only there because he wanted to meet some women. Danny had just lost her family, so she's not paying attention to shit. Um, Christian was there because he was also trying to figure out his own thesis. Like he had no idea what he was gonna do. I think they were just not really paying attention to anything that was going
but
on.
also,
It's the little things that keep you alive.
but also they were like,
Yeah, well, these people are stupid.
but also,
Sorry.
also they were like high most of the time. Like they were being drugged without their knowledge. I think that's another part that like they were just always like on drugs that they never noticed that like or they never bothered to care about these things. I think I did read that somewhere where like that they were like being drugged all the time, so they just weren't like taking these things seriously. I think that's like one of the other things too. That's why like they do question
That
a lot of stuff.
that does make sense.
It's the
That
drugs,
makes sense.
Marcus.
Yeah. But also, like, the thing with the rune, like, was there like some mystical shit going on? Like, what the fuck was that? She put this fucking rock under his bed. Was that just like to signal to everyone else that he's the one? Or was there actually like some mystical powers? Because I couldn't tell. And
I
what if
think
he was gay? Like, what's happening here? Like, there's too many points. Like, once my mind starts to wander to other shit, that's how I know I didn't enjoy the movie. Because I'm like, but what if he was gay with these weird period drinks and pubic hairs and runes have an effect on him? If he was like strictly dickly, like I don't understand.
Well, I don't think there was actually anything mystical with it. At least to me personally, I don't think there was anything mystical with it. I think more so the girl who was doing it felt like it would have following the little um not ritual, but following the
Little pictograph.
yeah, like the scroll or whatever they had. I forget exactly what it was called, but it was following that like little storyline or whatever would get her the guy that she wanted. Which I mean, it basically did. But like, I don't think it was like mystical. Basically just set it up that way. Like they were like putting the chess pieces in place so that it could get to that point. Because I mean, he wasn't gonna go into that room where she was. That old lady showed told him to go there. Like so I don't think it was like mystical, but I think the girl was so indoctrinated with what they were doing that she thought following that would get her what she wanted, which I mean it did in a sense, but I mean they were gonna make it that way anyway.
Yeah, I think they heavily drugged him before that
Yeah.
because his face, you could see he just looks like
He was
what the
fucked up.
fuck? Yeah, he was like not he was just doing whatever I guess he was told. I guess what she put under his bed, I don't remember what it was. I think it was like a rune or something, but
It was.
I don't know. I mean, I guess she was in a way marking him, but she was also trying to increase the chances of the mating, I guess, because I think they had mentioned at some point in the movie where because it's a small it's a small
They
community, and
bring in outsiders too.
yeah. Yeah, to avoid incest, and that's just kind of what he was.
and and except the times they're intentionally trying to have an incestuous child being born. But we'll get to that too. But the last scene that I did not like, and you kind of mentioned earlier, is when Christian was in that fucking shack with all those women. Like I don't care how high I am, if I have an audience, there is no way this is happening. And especially if one of those audience members is an old ass lady, there is no fucking
You
way.
leave
Like
her
I
alone.
no. And then when someone starts to touch your butt
Yeah.
cheeks, that's when you get the fuck out and leave.
And
What the I don't care how high I am. What the fuck was that?
I think you see it in his face too. He was like,
He was
"What?"
actually confused, but he was so high and he was probably enjoying himself. He didn't care.
Yeah, there's like a woman who's like groping his butt cheeks while there's another woman who's like coaching him from the side. It's okay, it's okay. While all these other women are like moaning behind in front of me. And one of them is this old lady with like gray hairs and wrinkles. Like, no. That that would kill your high and kill whatever other mood you have going on. I was like, this isn't realistic because I'd be the fuck out of it. I would no longer be high. I would no longer be having sex with anyone. I'd be gone. Like, what the fuck is going on right now?
To be honest, I think they were there because the girl herself, I think she was nervous. Um,
Yeah, that I get, but like, I
you
don't
know,
need
they're
like,
very big into group sharing, you know.
this is not this.
Plus,
Well, they should have just shared him individually afterwards instead of coaching her from the side.
look, I mean, he was gonna die anyway. All right, I'm gonna, if I have the opportunity, I'm gonna grow up his ass.
Oh my god.
But why
he was
not
he was
just
dead.
wait? Why not just wait your turn? Like he's already drugged up. All you guys can just come in one after the other and just like line up and see who's the lucky one to get pregnant.
But see, they were setting it up because it was going to be her. It was always going to be her.
Yeah.
But are there any scenes that you guys didn't like or thought
Um,
could have been improved?
None that like come to mind immediately, and I'm really trying to think because like this is like one of those movies like I can't say I really had a problem with it or like
Oh
most
my.
and like much that was going on like because like I get what the story was doing, so what he was doing and everything that happened for it worked in this story. So like even trying to think of scenes that I didn't like, I don't think there were any.
To be honest, I didn't like that they had to sacrifice two people. I thought that was so sad. um,
And who
like,
were those people? We did not. That was not the old couple from the cliff. That was two. Those were two new random ass old people that they killed that we have never seen before. Like what the fuck was that?
what do you mean we have seen them?
No, they weren't the couple from the cliff. They burnt them people.
Oh wait, no,
Those two.
those were they weren't old though.
Whoever the fuck those two sacrifices were, they were not in the rest of the movie. All right, they were only in
Yeah,
that
they were.
last
One
section.
of them
Were
was.
what was the other one?
He
See,
was a
too
man of
many
the
missing
community,
parts.
okay? He
We
was just
needed.
trying to do his duty
He
and
should have had lines. He should have interacted with people. He should have sniffed somebody. I don't care. I need to
oh,
see action happening.
I thought he was the guy who got pissed at Mark. Wasn't he?
Yeah, he was one of them, and then Ingram also volunteered. But they had two more people who were already stuffed,
It
and
was
they
it no, it was the old people, but they like put like
no, they burned the old people. They had a scene of them like
oh
burning the old
they
people.
did.
So those were two more random old people for no reason.
No,
I didn't like this movie.
isn't it the people from the cliff, but they just kind of like not put their own bodies, but like made their own representation of these people to show that these two sacrificed their lives for the Midsummer? Is that not what that is?
But would that count if they were killing each other? If they were killing themselves because they reached their end of their life. So I don't think
Oh,
I
I
don't know
mean
how
um,
prophecies work. I don't know how sacrifices work, but I'm pretty sure that cancels it out. You can't be sacrificing yourself for more than one thing. That's
Yes,
selfish.
I can
That's
sacrifice
greedy.
myself for more than
That's
one
greedy.
thing.
You have to pick a cause to die for.
No.
You can't
No.
have more than one.
No,
Um,
I mean if they're gonna um grow old anyway, I'm assuming they probably just
Well, if y'all was making a sacrifice for me, I wouldn't accept it. Like, that don't work. Give me two fresh ones. Jamie, Karina, one of you guys were gonna say something?
There's actually a really interesting fan theory that I liked when like looking up this movie where the lady that threw herself off the cliff, um, there's like this thing where they said that she looks a lot like Danny. So um, there's a theory that she like sacrificed herself to make room for Danny in the like small community, which I thought was really interesting. And I'm thinking maybe that's why, because she looked pretty young. She did not look like 72 years old. Like, or am I the only one who saw that?
She did. She did look younger than 72. Now that man looked old as
Yeah.
shit. He looked like he was
Yeah,
older than
he
72.
getting old.
But the lady looked great. Wait, but also the whole 72. Like, hold up. So what happens if I get like sick at like 40? Am I expected to like jump off this fucking cliff because we're not supposed to be old and we're not supposed to be sick and fragile at this commune? And then another, I have to give my newborn child this dead bitch's name because she decided to jump off this cliff at 72? What?
See,
Wait,
I
where
think
did they
you're
say
thinking too
that?
much into it. Cause like the thing is like they've been indoctrinated from so young that like this is
It's
it's the only thing they know. Like I feel like we're thinking like we're probably thinking of like from like us looking in. But like if we're just in that, like it's so easy. Like if you're born into
you
something
know
to
what
be
I need?
indoctrinated.
I need a prequel. I need him to flashback to the first. I need a prequel. I need to see how the colony set up. I need to see how they gathered. I need to see who pissed somebody off for them to put all these rules in place. Cause somebody did something to fuck everything up for everybody. So I need a prequel. Give me the backstory, and then maybe
Well,
I'll like this movie.
I mean every culture has their own like belief system. That's just what they believed in.
And all that shit has a crazy history, a crazy start, which makes the current belief system interesting. Now that I'm done griping about how much I dislike this movie, let's talk about some of the characters. Let's start with Danny. What'd you guys think of Danny? Maria.
um I like Danny. I liked her whole like character development from the beginning to the end. I liked how, in the beginning she was very, she doubted everything. I mean, not only did she lose her family, but she also had a shitty boyfriend. I mean, I don't know where her friends were at. And the fact that she just kept trying to, um, like every time Christian would seem pissed, like right away, she would like back down. She would apologize, but it wouldn't even be her fault. And then like the first time that they did the mushrooms, Danny had a bad trip, because obviously she was still very affected by her deceased family, and she was, having trying not to cry because she didn't want to, because she was trying to hold in her emotions. She didn't want to ruin everybody's good time,
Yeah,
and she was just very overly conscious of other people. But then, as all this was playing out, like at the end, she, found her family. She was able to be high and not be sad. Like she still had visions of her family. I think the last time that she was on the mushrooms, but she wasn't like gonna cry and she wasn't upset. And then in the end when she's also crying and letting out her emotions, she's doing it out in the open with everybody else, and I think that was also very freeing for her. Um, so I mean, I liked her character and I liked her development.
yeah. I think I would agree also. I did like Danny's character. Like you can already tell, like she was just generally on edge even from the beginning with her conversation with Christian and stuff. Just because her sister was thinks she said she's bipolar if I recall, so like she's already on edge with it, and since he really wasn't validating any of her feelings. Like she was just like pushing things off as he would with her, because like he made her think she was overreacting, and she wasn't, as we saw. But once she like got to Harga and started interacting with more of the other people, even though they were a cult and they were just using them, like they were treating her better than he was, and even his friends were. So, I mean, not saying like his friends are even supposed to be like her friends or things like that, but you know, just a general amount of respect, is probably needed. Especially since she didn't do anything really. Like she probably was just like probably them. She was just being needy, but she never did anything like wrong. I would say to like get like the feelings that were coming from other people towards her, at least like the people that we knew going into the festival and stuff. So um she never really had like anybody like validate her feelings or anything like that. And of course, she probably should have at least had some friends of her own and everything. But since she didn't, like she like relied on her boyfriend and then his friends to like supplement that. But once she got to Harga and like experienced all this other stuff, even though things were unsettling for her and she saw things that she probably didn't want to see, like the suicide jumpings and things like that, um, those people, they didn't invalidate her feelings. They felt those emotions with her, which for her, I mean, for her that was like very important because nobody else did that for her at the time, and like she had no family anymore, so they were filling in that role that she lost. So I felt like her character arc was pretty good. Like she went from being like Maria said, like very quiet, very apologetic, to not saying she was like not apologetic anymore. She was just more like talking for herself, and as the movie went on, like not dealing with most of the Christian shit anymore. And not saying that she should have sacrificed her boyfriend, but it was a part of her character arc. So, like, it's kind of like, yeah, girl boss, but also like, you have to. I don't know if we had to kill him though. Like, we may not have to kill him. We probably could have broke up with him, but that was her way of breaking up with him at that moment.
I agree with everything you said.
Yeah, the only thing was that watching Danny at the beginning was
Very hard to watch.
really hard to watch, especially when she found out that Christian and his friends were going to Sweden and the whole argument they have at her apartment.
I really think I should just leave.
No. Please, please, please. I'm not trying to attack you.
It
I'm not.
really feels like you are.
Well then I'm sorry. I just got confused. I'm sorry.
And how he's like, you know what, I'm just gonna go, and she's like, no, please stay, even though.
And then she starts apologizing too, yeah.
Because he's like, well, I feel like you're attacking me. And she's like, well, then I'm sorry. And then it's almost like now she's convincing him, like, please stay, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Even though right before he was acting dumb and saying, well, what are you being weirded out by? Like, why are you being like this after being told about a trip like that all of a sudden? It was really hard to watch.
True.
But then to see her go from that to burning him alive, like, yeah. Awesome. But yeah, going off of what Karina said, to see her go from like that to like basically having nothing, or being around people who like don't appreciate her and like don't like are bothered by her, they don't want her around, to like at the end being with like people who like accept her and like are there for her and like like feel her pain with her and all that stuff. It was really nice to see that happen. So good for Danny.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say it happened gradually though, just because you can see throughout, even in Sweden, when she would have a problem with him, he would apologize again and again, but she wouldn't really put her foot down a lot, or she would just maybe like stare at him or just stare at him from afar if he's just doing something. But yeah, like still, she got to point A to point B, and yeah, still nice. Yeah.
I liked her. but I could kind of see both Danny and Christian's side, but for Danny, to talking about her, I got her emotion, like that conversation she had with her friend when she was like, I think I'm leaning on him too much, and it's like like even if that's true, you should still be able to lean on him because like he's your fucking boyfriend, and of course, I'm gonna call you when shit gets bad. So I was like, you know what, I'm Team Danny. I get this.
Yeah.
I get it. Her her reactions or lack thereof to like certain things in the village, it was weird because at first she was having strong reactions. She's like, "Oh my god, what the fuck's going on?" And then after that, she would like notice something and then just let it go and then go back to drinking the fucking happy juice. So I was like, "What the fuck is going on around here?" But whatever.
I mean,
I
would you rather
did,
be alarmed or rather be on happy juice? Because I'd rather be on
I mean,
happy
they were
juice
drugged the
before I
whole
die.
time. Like they were happy.
but also like the fact that she even went on the trip, I'm like, do you not see that this man does not want you and that his friends don't like you? I'm like, Mark is an asshole, and the black guy, what's his name, Josh?
Oh yeah,
Josh.
Josh.
Josh, Josh didn't even acknowledge your
He
existence.
really
So
did.
like, what the? Why are you on this plane? The only one to talk to you was Pele, and he made you cry. So why did you get on the plane? I would have not. I would have gone. Like, this is not. I'm not welcomed here. And she has other friends. The friend she talked to on the phone should have been one of the people on the plane with her. Like, I feel like you should. I'm like, in that case, like in situations like that, you take backup because shit ain't right. Like, I'm on a plane with everyone who hates me in some weird secluded commune. You should probably take a friend just in case.
Yeah, but I also feel like her family just passed. She basically lost a lot of people. I think in her mind, Christian was all she had left. So at this point, she was gonna do whatever he says.
Even go on a trip that's like 3 weeks away that he didn't tell you about and you found out about by accident.
Did you not hear her apologize after he got mad at her for no reason?
I
Like,
mean,
she's just not really.
I've been there before, so I can sympathize, but I'm also like, girl, no. But also, it was like, oh, you could do better. Speaking of her
Yeah.
doing better, let's talk about Christian, who I hated. I hated Christian from the very first scene. Like, listen to that phone call. I was like, this is very dry.
Yeah.
Like, her sister has bipolar, and you're just like, she does this for attention. I was like, what the fuck, this guy. And then watching him with his friends, I'm like, I could tell he had no respect for her or relationship because I don't care who it is, you won't let your best friend speak about the person you're dating that way. I was like, okay, this is going bad. And like with every scene they showed, it just made me hate him more and more. Especially when he just decided, oh, I'm gonna cover this for my thesis as well.
No, for
Like,
real.
what the fuck? I was like, what in the appropriation is happening right now? Like, what am I, what am I witnessing? This white man is coming to step on this black man's hard work that he's been doing for like all this time. I was like, the audacity. But then, but then I felt sorry for him because he's drugged out of his mind for the last like 30 minutes of this movie, and he looks so helpless and so sad. And I could tell that he wanted to like be with her, but were they were purposely keeping them apart,
Yeah.
and he was just isolated and alone. Because at the last like dinner table scene, everyone's dressed in white, and then he's just there in like his dirty gray shirt and his blue jeans, isolated. He's drugged to fuck up. His face. I was like, oh, the poor baby. Like somebody help
Oh
him.
my god.
Help him. And then after he's raped, he's like attacked and drugged and he's in a fucking wheelchair and he can't even like defend himself when his girlfriend sends him to burn to death. I was like, "Oh no." And that's when the movie completely lost me. What did you guys think about Christian?
Look, I'm not gonna say Christian got what he deserved because obviously he didn't deserve to get burned up alive. But in the in the like sense of it all, he got what he deserved. Like not physically, but like in my head, he got what he deserved. Like I don't feel like obviously he deserved to die, but like obviously, like Ari asked to say he was going into this movie like making it like a breakup movie, like that was her way of breaking up with him, and like I get Kristen's reasoning of why he didn't want to like break up with her, especially after what the fuck just happened with her family and everything. So that's all understandable. But it's so many ways that you could go about things that he just didn't do. Like invalidating like her sister and like her feelings about her sister in like the first like 5 minutes. Like it's like that's not what you do, sir. Like, even if you are like annoyed with someone, like sometimes you don't even have to like give your input on things. Just be there for somebody to vent and then ask them if you want them to give input or something. Like he was just so dismissive of it all, especially like this is like a very like hard situation for her to go through. Like when she's not probably talking to you about it, she's probably just sending like even though she did talk to her one friend, I don't know how much he contacted her, but she probably just sitting like talks to herself about it, thinks about it all the time. So he just wasn't like giving her like anything to work with, but she was still just keeping him because like she had nobody else at the time. And once we actually get to Harga, like he still was just being a massive douche. Like if Mark was the biggest douche, he was like in second place because he was like Christian just wasn't he just wasn't doing what like you would expect like someone who's a boyfriend to someone to actually do or like someone's partner to do for them if they're going through like a hard situation. And throughout everything, like he was like still being dismissive even when they were there. Like she's asking him like, "Oh, what are we gonna do?" Like just like they're like dismissing her and everything. Um, Showing real hater energy by saying he was gonna also do um his whole project on Harga just like bro Josh, like bro, like you well first you show no emotion, now you have no ideas. Like why are you here? You're just out here. Like he wasn't giving anything. Like he was just here. So but once we did get to the end, like of course like I felt bad, like obviously I would feel bad, like the physical stuff that happened, yes, that stuff I felt bad for, but like certain emotional things that were happening to him, like Danny was already experiencing emotional things and you weren't being there for her, so like at this point like it's no purpose for her to even like validate you anymore because you weren't giving anything for her. So it's hard because he died, and like obviously like I say, he didn't deserve to die, in the way, especially in the way that he did. But like things leading up to it, he probably deserved that stuff.
Yeah, Christian was a really, really interesting character just because he did not care about anyone else except him. And you can see it when he does not tell anybody really anything. Like when he doesn't tell Danny like half of the stuff that he does. And even with his friends, when he abruptly brings Danny into the apartment that they're in, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, by the way, I invited her, but she's not coming. She said yes, she wants to go. I told her she can come, but she's not coming." And I actually read some of the script before comparing it to the movie, and when he is holding her and comforting her after she's wailing and sobbing because of the loss of her parents, all he's thinking of is, "Oh man, like I can't leave her now because she's really vulnerable and she's gonna need someone. Like this sucks because now I can't leave. Like I'm trapped." He felt trapped in that moment, and that obviously that really tells what his character is like. But yeah, it did feel bad only just because compared to everything else, this is a really life or death situation that they were in when he was being drugged. He did not know what was going on, and he was just by himself while they were trying to separate them to take advantage of both of them. And yeah, I did feel bad for that, but a lot of that could have been prevented if he corrected his behavior before they even got on that plane.
Yeah, I think throughout the movie, they kind of want you to see how and why he ended up the way he did. Um, I don't know if they explain it in the movie, but I know that Ari Aster said that, like, I think it was in the movie where they say that whoever ends up in the bear, like, not well, I guess costume, like, it's like the person who belongs there is like the worst of the worst. Like, it's all over shitty person, like, deserves to be in there. So I think throughout the movie they try to get you to see that, like, he was just like an asshole. Like, he what Karina said, I also read the script too, and how, yeah, when he was holding Danny, like, comforting her, he wasn't even comforting her. He just, like, was doing what I guess he thought a boyfriend should do in that situation. But it says that, like, that Christian has fear in his eyes, not because of what happened to Danny, but because he knows that he can no longer leave this relationship. Which, to think to think that in a situation like this was like, dude, come on, like, it's not the time nor place to think something like that. But and then when Josh went missing, Christian was like, I just hope you, like, understand that we don't, like, we're not friends with him, we're not collaborators, nothing. I just hope and pray that you don't see us the way you see him, and so, and, like, not to mention that he wasn't even worried about Mark when Mark went missing with that girl. And then he was, like, literally cheating in, like, in front of Danny. Like, come on. But yeah, I did not like Christian at all. He was just an overall asshole. He belonged in that bear suit, honestly, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, especially with this thesis and how half of the reason he went was to get a thesis and half the reason was to actually cheat on Danny and most likely leave her in that restaurant or bar scene where he was saying, that he wants to leave her, but the only reason he's scared is that what if nobody wants him and Danny's the only one who wants him, but she'll move on. Like, that was his only fear of getting out of the relationship before he found out about her parents,
Mhm.
which was already telling me because that was probably, I think, in the first 15 minutes of the movie. And it was just already laying out the relationship. And then again with the argument in her apartment, and then throughout the movie him kind of like accepting that girl's advances when they would tell them or him what she was doing was to court him, basically like a courtship.
Mhm.
And he wasn't exactly saying no, but it wasn't like he was abruptly saying yes because Danny was there.
Not to mention that they were together for 4 years, they said, and Mark said that Christian has been wanting out of the relationship for a year now. Like, and the only reason why he didn't want to leave was because he didn't want her to move on and for him to miss her. So he was just kind of there, like, just to make sure that wouldn't happen. Like, that's weird. Weird behavior.
Yeah, that was weird.
How are you missing someone you don't like?
He know he
Are you gonna like
trash.
them after they're gone?
He know he
What the fuck?
trash, and he know ain't nobody else go do that to go put up with his shit.
I know. I hated him for the entire movie up until the last like 30 minutes. I was like, what's happening? Now I feel empathy for him. I wanted to whoop his ass the entire movie. Like, I was waiting for him to die, and then it's like, oh no, not. I don't want him to die like this. Like, no, like this isn't what I wanted. Now I feel bad, but it's still fuck him
Yeah.
Yeah, and
heavily.
also, I was I forget when they initially were talking to, I forget who it was. It was like when they first arrived at the village, and I think it was when they met up with Pele's friends, and they asked how long they were together, and Danny was like hard set on saying 4 years. He was like three and a half. And then I saw in like some video they were saying he said that because like 6 months ago was when her sister passed, so he's basically like out of the relationship by that point, but he was just still with her physically.
Yeah, those 6 months he forgot he was planning on not being there, so he was like, "Fuck it, we would have been together 3.5 years. I'm just here out of
Out of
moral
pity.
obligation."
No, yeah, he was awful. He didn't respect her at all. And yeah, like he was always just thinking about himself. He yeah, he never told anybody anything. And he kept invalidating her feelings. He just wasn't great. And honestly, I don't understand why he didn't just break up with her when, like, when he wanted to, and even like before, like her family passed, because there's just no reason for you to be there if you're not gonna actually be supportive. Like in that scene where she's just in her room, just staring off, like obviously because she's sad. And he just walks in like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to," and she was like, "Where are you going?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go to a party, nothing serious." And then like it's just a get together. I think he was trying to play down, and then she was like, "No, I'll go," because because what like people grieve differently, and sometimes when they're just stuck inside, you want to sometimes like you want to help. And he was just kind of like, "No, I'm gonna go by," and then obviously she wanted to go because he's all she had, and but it's like an actual party. It's not even like the get together that he was trying to make it seem.
Yeah.
Um, and then and then and then that whole argument, and the apartment and the way he was trying to play it around and be like, you know what, I'm just gonna go. I'm not gonna deal with this. Like, I mean, I thought it was like ridiculous because it wasn't even an argument. She wasn't even attacking him. She literally asked him a direct question. He couldn't answer it and he felt attacked. Like, bro. Like what the um I don't think I think the ending with the whole bear suit and the whole him burning alive was in a way a really it like symboled the way Danny felt. She felt trapped. She felt afraid. She felt alone. It's a very it's very extreme, but I think it kind of I guess in a way their roles just kind of reversed. Because now instead of Christian having the power, um, Danny had the power, and well, he just had to die.
I
No, I'm
liked. I
done.
don't know. I felt sorry for him those last like 30 minutes. It changed my entire opinion on him. I don't know. It just I don't know. But let's talk about Pele. Pele. I think from I didn't pay attention to him in that first scene. I don't even think he said anything, and if he did, I don't remember it. The only time I like noticed that he was part of the fucking movie was when he first met Danny and they had that little interaction. Like that weird smile he had when he was like showing her photos, and he was like,
You know, I'm very, very glad you're coming. I I think it's very good you're coming.
Thank you.
I was like, oh, this guy is bad. He shouldn't be trusted. He's gonna kill them all, or he's gonna do something. I just knew I couldn't trust him after that little weird, creepy smile. And then he made her cry, and then I was like, oh, I was right not to trust this guy. He brought them here to die. Like I was, what the fuck? But what about you guys? What do you guys think about Pell?
I He was a very interesting character. I don't know if you guys noticed it in the very beginning of like the opening art mural or whatever, but you can see that Pele was the mastermind behind the whole, like you can see him, like he was the mastermind behind the whole thing. He orchestrated this whole thing to make sure that Danny went, all of his friends went. Um in the beginning, actually, when they're at the bar, he does say something which foreshadows like Christian's fate, where he says, "Don't forget about all the Swedish women you're gonna impregnate." Which Christian goes and he like impregnates. I can't remember her name, but like the girl that they drug him with and like stuff him in that house with. But and I think his overall objective was to get Danny there, and I think that's why he was saying stuff like that to her, like making her cry and stuff. Um, he also, I don't know if you guys noticed it too, but when I was reading up on Midsommar, apparently he was the one who knocked out Josh and killed him, and you can actually see him in the scene hiding behind Josh before he like knocks him over the head with it. Did you guys catch that? Or I mean, I only saw that today.
No.
No, I don't saw. I thought I saw.
What the
Yeah,
hell?
you can see him. Like if you like, I screen recorded the scene and like slowed it down, and you can like see him. When it pans to like um I can't remember his name, but the other guy who like is in the house with Josh, and he thinks it's Mark. when it pans to that, you can see Pele right there, and I was like, oh my god, I did not notice that. But yeah, apparently Pele is the one who like kills Josh, which I thought was really fucked. But yeah, Pele was really interesting to me. I It's hard to believe that he like orchestrated this entire thing. Like he just
Yeah, I thought it was also sad when he was trying to comfort. I don't want to say comfort, but like comfort Danny when she's freaking out after those two people sacrificed themselves off the cliff.
oh yeah.
And he's like, my parents died when I was little, and that's probably referencing what happened at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, yeah, he's really like into the background in the beginning. The only line he does say at in the beginning is when they're talking about Sweden. He's like, and don't forget you're gonna impregnate those Swedish girls, and that's a really, really weird thing to say because I don't know how those conversations go, but I'm pretty sure a lot of them don't involve actually talking about impregnation like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's also he's just a really weird person. A lot of people describe their relationship, like Pele's and Danny's relationship, as grooming because of the way he kind of, he sees this girl who's really vulnerable.
I I definitely got those vibes. He kept like kissing
Yeah.
her.
Yeah,
Especially when she was like on drugs. Like,
yeah, like when she went missing and she was
Yeah.
literally tripping out seeing her mom.
yeah.
Their faces were deforming. He just goes up to her and starts kissing her, and then he just he blends back into the background like everyone else, but he's very much in control of the
Yeah.
situation. Like he's making sure everything's being set up.
Yeah,
right.
they make sure to show it like in the very beginning that Pele is like the one orchestrating this whole thing, which
Yeah.
I thought was crazy.
And then like still drawing her throughout the movie too. Like he draws her before she gets to I think it's either Mark or Josh's apartment, and then he draws her at the dinner table when she just got nominated or like she just won May
Yeah.
Queen. And you can still see the drawing, obviously, like moving and everything, but he's still drawing her throughout it too.
Mhm.
That was really he is really interesting, and the movie like really shows that it's a really straightforward thing to tell it.
Yeah.
I will say I agree a lot with what you guys said about Pele. Like he definitely did give off the vibes that he was like um grooming grooming Danny to like you know do like give in more to what they were trying to do at the cult. Um, a lot of me like always wonder like since he did like try to like talk to her to encourage her to come, but like a lot part of me wonder like what if she didn't come? Like I feel like he was trying to like get her to like come so that she could be the May Queen and be a part of their like village and everything. And I always wonder like, well, what if she just didn't come? Like I wonder what would have happened then. But yeah, he was like the way he was just like so soft spoken and everything, like it made him more unsettled. And like you kind of feel throughout the movie, like once he actually gets to like Harga and everything, that he like honestly didn't care about the guys that he was with. Like he just cared about kind of getting Danny there because like once like they were there, he was like very like dismissive of the rest of them. To be honest, like he really didn't care to like interact with them that much. Just to really, he was really just there to like show them around and things like that. But when they were like trying to like talk to him, like he kind of felt like very dismissive. Like he really didn't want anything to do with them, and he probably was just plotting for some time, trying to get like once he was going to be able to get them back to Harga if he was going to be able to, because it could have like never happened, but he probably just was working towards that the whole time. But he gave like Danny something that she felt that she needed at the time, which is like someone actually talked to her. Like when he talked to her, like he actually sounded invested and listened to her, and then it just dismiss her like Mark and Kristen, and then and then Josh, who was just like not interested in her whatsoever. So he actually like gave her something to um like actually play off of because the rest of them weren't giving her anything. So yeah, Pelly was an interesting character, but Yeah, but he definitely did was the one who probably put a lot of this like plan into play. Is what I would say.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but when I first watched it, I was like, "Oh my god, he's so nice." Like I didn't it didn't even really hit, like the first time I watched it, I don't even think it really hit me how in fact how weird he was. There was some things he did that I was like that was kind of weird, but I just played it off as like, well, maybe he just grew up differently. He doesn't
Yeah.
know. Um which I guess tells you a lot about me. But then like once we started like going deeper into the film, then you start to kind of realize like Pele was a lot sneakier, I guess. Because honestly, like when I first watched it in the beginning, when like in for the like the scene where he's talking to Danny and he tells her, I'm sorry, so sorry about your family. I just thought he was sympathizing with her, because I kind of feel like people have been so like they were being very delicate with her, like either avoiding her altogether, not bringing it up, and just kind of avoiding it. But Pele was like, I'm sorry because I lost my family too, and which obviously makes her cry. But I think that's a very obvious reaction. Like her whole family died, or it was a murder suicide. It was gruesome, and um so I kind of already. I mean, I thought it was nice of him because he sat there, looked her in the eyes, and he was like, "I'm so sorry." And I just think she just wasn't really expecting it, which is why she cried. But then, like throughout the film, when he's telling her like, "Oh, Christian's not good for you," and then he's giving her these little like drawings of her and basically giving her the attention that Christian wasn't. Um, which I mean, I don't think it was very appropriate yet, but I guess. And then when he kissed her while she was like very high was also weird. Like he kind of reminds me of those like nice guys that say they're nice but they're really kind of not nice,
He
like
killed his whole friend group. Of course, he's not nice.
shut up. No, yeah, but he did not care about his friends. As soon as they got there, he was like, "Okay, y'all, I'm done. This was my mission.
Yeah, isn't it crazy?
We're
Like
good. You're all gonna
he
die."
like his whole mission. Yeah, I guess mission was like to build up trust, build this friendship for years. It wasn't even like a year, like a few months. It was like years to build this, just for him to take all of them to Sweden and then be like, "Yeah, you guys are like rituals. Like, see you later." And like that's insane to me. Like this guy.
To be honest, he chose like a really common person type, if that makes sense. Like they're all kind like Josh, Mark, and Christian are all kind of the same person, but in different ways. If that makes sense, like they're all assholes, and some people,
Different fonts.
some people, talk about how he chose. I think it's anthropology is what they're majoring in for a reason because all of them are more focused on their work or thesis to even like give a fuck about,
And they're willing to like go to these places to learn about stuff
yeah,
like that.
they're acting really cold and really distant and really greedy, especially about their work with between Josh and Christian. That whole argument that they have over a thesis about two people who had just sacrificed themselves right in front of them, and all they think about is their thesis. While Sean and Connie are more worried about actually living together. Like it's like he almost chose those people for a reason because they're more cold. They're more like, yeah, they're more ignorant towards actual like lives instead of just themselves.
Let's talk about Josh. Josh, who I was, the one black character in the movie got killed. I saw that coming. But then when he died, I was like, you deserve this. They told you not to take pictures. They told you not to be in here. It's sacred. And what did he do? He went in the sacred place and he took pictures. He deserved it. What do you guys think about Josh?
He,
Also, he was rude to Danny the whole movie. Like he acted like that
Yes,
poor girl didn't exist.
I think it was just easier for him.
She probably thought she died too.
Yeah, he was so out of everything. He looked like he was doing his own stuff. Well, he was just there for his thesis, right? But yeah, he did not acknowledge Danny at all. Even towards Mark too, he was just kind of doing his own thing. Even when he knew what was going to happen at the cliff, he decided not to tell anybody.
I forgot about
Yeah, he was like
that.
looking
He
forward
did
to
know.
it. Like he
Yeah.
was like, "Oh my god, really? We get to see it?
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, I can't believe it!" And now, like, oh my god, like, why? What's gonna happen? And yeah, him breaking into the temple and trying to see like what that community cherishes the most.
He wasn't like he was taking pictures. That's what he was
Yeah,
doing.
after like they specifically told him like, no, that's disrespectful. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
He goes and does that, and then he gets his leg chopped off. But he was a different type of like asshole.
Yeah.
I would say it was just more intimidating than Mark or Christian. It was just more like you didn't want to interact with him, but would care. He would care less if he did either way.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was just one of those like passive aggressive type assholes, and those would be the worst. Because like
What
he
I
was
love.
he wasn't like he would like dismiss. He's like very dismissive and like wasn't trying to do anything. He was literally just there for what he wanted to do. He didn't give a fuck about nobody else and what they were trying to do, and obviously even the people that he were trying to like talk about for his thesis and whatnot. So he was just there for himself and nobody else, and was just being very passive aggressive the entire time with everyone, especially Danny. For what reason I don't know, because Danny never did anything to him. So like he was like he like honestly like Josh was kind of just there. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think Josh, I don't think he was. I mean, yeah, he was being rude to Danny, but I think he was kind of just being rude to anyone that didn't benefit him in any
Exactly.
way. Um, I don't think he was like purposely just being an asshole. I think that was just his personality. Like if it has nothing to do with him, he doesn't care. Um, which I mean, yeah, I do kind of feel like what happened to him, he kind of did have it coming. Like him and Mark, because they did things that like they told you not to do. Like they told him not to take pictures of their sacred book, and he did it because of a thesis. Like this is literally what they hold dear, and you're just gonna take pictures when they told you not to because you want to pass school. Okay. um so um and yeah, he was kind of just there. I think like he was an asshole, but his assholeness didn't really stand out the way everybody else did. um he was just very, I guess, arrogant.
Hmm.
Like he didn't show any emotion on anything. Like there was like a little bit of weird stuff going on, but he didn't even like, he was just like whatever, like that's crazy. But that was it until Christian said that he was gonna basically to do his thesis on it, and he got mad. Like he was like, what the fuck? Which, I mean, it is an expected reaction, but it's also the only like huge reaction you get out of him throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, he does start really reading into Christian during that argument, like because Christian kind of does the same thing he does to Danny at the apartment argument, saying like playing dumb, like I don't know what you're talking about. That's what he does to Josh, and Josh already knows how Christian acts, so he stays just like to the sidelines until it's with him about his thesis, where he's calling him lazy, and he calls him on the fact that he's playing dumb, even though he knows exactly what he's doing. And then he tries to read him again at the restaurant, where he's saying that, oh, are you just playing into some masochism dream because you're ignoring the work that you should be doing? And then yeah, that's like the most, I agree, like that's the most reaction we get out of Josh. It was for his work, and that's it.
Yeah, that's like one thing that I liked about Josh a lot, is that he wasn't he looked like the only one who wasn't scared to call Christian out on his bullshit. He was always like, "No, like you know what you're doing," and Christian would
Hmm.
obviously play dumb and be like, "I don't know what you're talking about, man, but I'm gonna do my thesis on this." And Josh was like, "No, you're being lazy and you're being." And yeah, that's what I liked about Josh. He was the only one who called Christian out on his bullshit. No one else seems to care to say something to him.
Josh is those smart people I don't like. They think they know everything. They're smug.
Hmm.
They're annoying.
And you still got
And he got knocked upside the head for it. So, ha.
good God.
But let's talk about the last person of the friend group. Let's talk about Mark. What do you guys think about Mark?
We don't think about Mark.
No.
He was that man was a piece of work. He was just a douche all around. Because initially, even before they got there, he thought he was gonna go to Sweden and just fucking bang chicks or whatever. Like he thought he was just gonna have the time of his
He
life.
gave me virgin
He
vibes.
did, like
I was like,
virgin,
this guy is
like
a
incel
virgin.
vibes, like very much so. But he was very annoying and like I just disrespectful to everything that was going on. Like I personally would not have been in this situation. But if I'm like experiencing someone else's culture, like I'm not just about to go around acting like a dick and everything, obviously, because I know shit is gonna be different from what I'm used to. But this guy was just like, he was just like being a dick the entire time in the whole, um, throughout the whole experience, and it eventually got him killed. And um, I mean, I don't think he deserved like dying from pissing on a tree, even though those were where his ancestors were. If that was my ancestors, I probably would have killed that man myself. But
Insane. That was
like he
insane.
just
He peed
he
on
did
that
not
tree in
have to
public.
pee on that specific tree. There was a whole forest behind that tree. Or like why not just go to the building and go piss where you've been pissing this entire time? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, and like that tree was literally in the middle of everything.
Exactly.
Like it was out in the open. It was like a while.
During the day, no one whips
Yeah.
it out in the middle of the day and just like for everyone to see. Like, go in the forest,
Like he
idiot.
was he was just he was just like being stupid, and it wasn't working at all. But I mean he got his like the others did. And yeah, I just don't have much to say about him. He was just a dick. And yeah.
Honestly, I think like yeah, he was a dick, but I think he was also just kind of stupid. Like he was very because I mean I know that he was talking all that shit about Danny, but I think the reason wasn't because of Danny herself. It was what Christian was telling him.
That's
Like
true.
obviously Christian wanted out of the relationship for so long. So so Christian's gonna be talking all this shit. So Mark is gonna be like, yeah, yeah, like he's gonna take his word for it because that's his
Hmm.
friend, and I'm assuming they're just really close. And um he also, I feel like he just talks before I don't think he thinks much. He just talks and talks and talks. And like yeah, like he was a dick, but I just think honestly, I just think he was dumb. Like he just doesn't seem to think things through. Like he was like, oh, like can I pee over there? And they were like, yeah, like because he asked if we can pee on the tree, and they're like, yeah, and he just saw the first tree and went towards it. Didn't really think about the fact that this tree must be in the middle of this for a reason, or just the fact that this tree, everybody can see me pee on this tree, so I'm just gonna go somewhere else. Like he just, I don't know, he just saw it and said, okay, I'm gonna go pee over here, and then didn't even try to understand why people were upset. And he was just like, well, I didn't know. Like you didn't, it didn't like cross your mind at all. Like okay, um, and then and when they, I think when they first saw that whole where those old people died, like when they jumped off the cliff. And he was, because he wasn't there. I think he was like sleeping, and he was like, "Oh, like you guys didn't wake me up," and everybody's all shaken up, like you're not reading the room here. Like it was a traumatic event. You're just pissed nobody woke you up. Like, okay, Mark. Yeah, I just think he was dumb.
Yeah, he was a hard to look at character. Just because he also saw Connie running um when it was Connie's turn to die.
Turn to die.
She was running and he was actually following her until that woman from the community distracted him, and nothing ever came from it. Like they probably could have gotten a good warning before everything happened, but also him and his unnecessary comments throughout the whole thing, like saying that he wanted to give, I think, Inga, that girl a bath because of how much like he liked her, or saying like, oh, like I think I'm gonna go follow her, or just I don't know, or just like being himself. It was so hard to look at.
Yeah, I think he was definitely one of those characters. I feel like, yeah, in the first 5 minutes that we see him in the movie, you're like, yeah, he's definitely the like first or second one that's gonna die. Like it's just that's just the kind of character that he was. It was really interesting to see in the beginning of the movie when they first get to the community, and that the people are like running around and like doing a little dance, and the dance was called Skin the Fool. And in the beginning of the movie where you see the art mural thing, you can see Mark dressed as like a fool, and then in the end you see that he was skinned, and they put like that outfit on him that showed that he was like a fool.
The gesture outfit.
Where so I thought that was a little cool like foreshadowing too, but
and the fact that they skinned him alive, or like they skinned him in general, and someone wore his face.
Yeah, and so
it's just even more traumatic that they had to show it.
I liked it. Well, I liked him a little. He was annoying, and I knew he was gonna die from that first scene, but I was like, maybe this traumatic experience will change him, and then he disappeared because she was gonna go show me something, and then he just never came the fuck back, and I was like, damn, they killed Mark off screen. That's the one death I wanted to see. Like, what the fuck? So, up next, let's talk about Ruben. Now, I wasn't quite. I don't understand what Ruben's purpose was. He just makes scribbles and then they transcribe it. He's supposed to be some special mythical person because he's like triple incestual. Like I don't understand what was happening. All this incest is making this weird special kid. Also, Ruben saw everything. He saw Josh get knocked upside the head, and he saw that whole weird sex scene with Chris. And he didn't say now one fucking. He was over there drawing the entire time. Like, what the fuck was going on? What did you guys think about Ruben?
I thought he was a really sad character just because, yeah, he had to witness all of that. And I don't think he was that old. I can't remember if they said his age in the movie, but yeah, that his purpose or why they intentionally had an ancestral baby is because he's gonna have like the most clearest mind from everything. His mind is not clouded, that he can see everything, or that yeah, like his mind would just be so clear, and that's what they need, like basically a prophet. And yeah, like, he makes the books that they literally worship and protect, and that they can't even be shown to anybody because that's how much they treasure it. I just thought it was just really sad that they had Ruben at such a high pedestal, but made him witness or didn't really cover him from all the acts that they were doing. It just seemed really sad.
So with the character Ruben, um, I like. I don't really did they. I don't really know if they served a purpose really. Like, at least like in the movie, like as far as the story went, like even though they were there to be like the transcriptionist for like the book and everything, I don't know if they really served much of a purpose. Like they feel like they showed that character more in the trailer than they did in the actual movie.
Yeah.
Um, Like I thought they were gonna be like a red herring for something, but they were kind of just there in like a couple scenes, and like they said what Ruben was gonna do, but Ruben was just kind of there experiencing the stuff with us. But and to put it in the I forget the name of the book, put it in the book that they had for the rest of the people to eventually see. So I don't really know if I have much to say on Ruben, to be quite honest.
I thought he was gonna be a turncoat. I was like, Ruben's gonna save the day. He's gonna get Danny out of there, and he's gonna sacrifice himself as she's like running down the field to safety. But no, he was just watching every fucking thing.
He was kind of just there. Um, I, I mean, like their whole idea behind having him there was interesting, but I kind of feel like it was just a way to like introduce the sacred book to have Josh killed, but like that was it. I mean, he didn't really come back. They didn't say anything. He was there for a couple scenes, but he was there like in the background. He was watching everything though. It's like cool. But like that's about it, honestly.
Yeah, I think that was for a reason too. That he was watching everything, but he wasn't exactly doing anything. Like in the scene where he's drawing while on those like random clouds. I feel like that was supposed to represent that he came from like the gods, and usually not that they never take action or anything like that, but they just watch. And he is watching, and that probably has to do with why he is scribbling or writing, and they um, preach it, like because he's watching everything.
Nah, Ruben was just there watching every fucking thing. He should have did something. Ruben should have killed somebody. If he wasn't saving people, he should have been killing people. He needed to be Midsummer's version of Leatherface. Like Ruben, do some shit. Like Leatherface was dumb as fuck. He was just following direction. That's what Ruben should have been. Ruben should have been carving a toe or something. Like he could have rolled the barrel of the dead bodies to the ashes. He ain't did shit. Was scribbling in green paint and shit. Pissing me off. Now let's talk about somebody who didn't deserve to die. Who I didn't even notice was missing until like his fiance said something. Let's talk about Simon.
Oh my
'Cause Simon was just he went from freaking out to not being seen again to the end of the fucking movie.
I felt so bad for
What do you
him.
guys think?
Yeah, I feel bad for him and his fiance because they were actually just there. They didn't at least like they didn't seem like nothing was like happening with them. At least like with the friend group that we knew going into this, like they all were kind of they're a little dickish, but like they seemed like they were fiance. They were like they were good together.
The British people were
Yeah,
nice. The Americans were bad.
pretty much. And um, yeah, they definitely didn't. He didn't deserve to die because wasn't he the one who was like his body was like opened up?
Yeah.
That was fucked up.
He was the
Yes,
bird thingy. What was that called? What was that
I
one called?
forget,
I forgot.
but that was fucked up.
It was like eagle something. It's what it was called. I can't remember what it was.
Wait, was his
Yeah.
lungs
Yes,
still
he was
moving?
still alive.
I kept seeing videos
He
saying that
was
he was alive.
alive.
There's no way he
He
I
was
survived
think
all
it
of
was the
that.
alive.
drugs making it look like his lungs are still breathing. I don't know if that was actually confirmed.
He that makes sense because there's no way he would have survived that. Like there is no fucking way.
I think.
Then there's some mystical shit
Oh,
going
it was
on.
called the Blood Eagle. The Blood Eagle? Yeah, but they put him in. Yeah, but apparently, I was reading up on it too. That apparently, um, what it, I think it was confirmed that he was alive. I think what it was is that the theory is that Simon died just as Christian found him, because if you see in the scene, he breathes like once or twice and then he kind of stops. So they think that, yeah, either Christian was really high that he imagined it, or that Simon died like just as Christian found him. But either way, that was it was. I think that was the part that shocked me the most, because you think that, like, because right now you're just worried and like seeing if Christian's gonna get away,
and then right as Christian turns around, you see him like hung up and like dissected, and just like flowers in his eyes. It was very traumatic. It was very shocking to see that.
Yeah, like apart, like he did not do anything.
He didn't do anything.
But a lot of people think that he got like such a bad death, or bad death because he did end up dying anyway, was because he ended up with Connie when it
Yeah.
showed that Ingmar was like kind of like having a delusion that him and Connie dated.
Yeah.
When he said that, he's like, well, no. Connie was like, no, we only been on one date, and it wasn't even a date until you said it right now. And then Simon met Connie through Ingmar, and then they got together, and now they're engaged. So he was probably
That makes
really
sense.
jealous. Yeah,
I like that because like they literally said that line for no fucking reason. So the fact so now that gives me more reason to like that part.
yeah, it was so sad. Like I think in another part where they're having a picnic, I think with them, Simon and Connie are just being lovey dovey, and Ingmar is just kind of staring at them before he just looks away, and he's just obviously like still sad over it.
Oh my god.
That guy. But I like that actor though. I've seen that actor in like I watch a lot of British TV shows, and that actor has been in a bunch of like little shows I've watched here and there. What do you think, Maria? Simon, not the TV shows.
um, Honestly, he didn't really stand out for me besides those couple scenes that you guys already mentioned. I mean, I feel like yeah, that he didn't deserve to die the way he did, but I see why he died the way he did. I don't think he deserved it, but yeah, like that scene when you see him and it looks like he's breathing, whether or not he really is or not, it was crazy, because you're like looking up, well, and you're like you can't even look at him because there's flowers in his eyes, and his goddamn lungs are moving, and it's like and you're like, was he alive? Was he dead? But either way, like the way they strung him up and um it just looks nuts, like I guess it looks like he was, because I think the bloody eagle was supposed to be like a torture thing. I think you are able to live from that, from what I remember reading about it, huh? And but like I don't know, it's still very gruesome,
But what about Connie? I feel like I liked Connie because when they tried to sell her that bullshit ass story, she was like, "No, he wouldn't do that. There's no way he would do that. He wouldn't leave me
For
here.
real.
He wouldn't leave me here without saying anything." I was like, "Oh, Connie's gonna fucking live." And we never saw Connie again. And then that dude was like, "Oh yeah, I gave her a ride." Like, get the fuck
She
out of
did as
here.
hell.
You killed Connie. What do you guys think about Connie?
She was
I mean, same thing as
really
Simon,
nice
honestly.
until they ended up killing her off. But I don't think she did anything to even deserve to be killed or even taken there. I can only see it as vengeance from Ingmar, but she was just really, her and Simon were really realistic to reacting to what happened at the cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can also see her just being really shaken and just keeping quiet when I think the leader, when the woman is trying to comfort her, especially Connie, telling her that it's gonna be all right, that it's okay, and then trying to reason with Simon, and then Simon's telling the woman to not touch Connie, and I think that kind of shows that Connie is pretty influential, like easily influenced. I want to say, but she was just a really nice character. Kind of sad that she got killed off, especially when she was literally running and
For
then
her life,
yeah,
yeah.
running for her life, and Mark saw her and it was just never seen again until they showed her.
Yeah, I was reading I was reading up on it, and so one of the first things obviously that Pele like says is that they're really private with their rituals, and that they don't want like the rest of the world to see what they're doing for obvious reasons. But so I think why they got killed off so early is because they couldn't risk like Simon and Connie leaving and like telling the world what was going on in this small commune.
Mm.
So I think it was more that than vengeance. I think the way they killed them was like, yeah, we might as well like fuck them up. Like, but but I don't know if you guys saw the director's cut, but there's this scene in the director's cut that was released like right after I think the movie released too, that they're like the whole commune plus like Danny and I think Josh and Christian are at this pond or lake, I guess, and there's this girl there who's like about to sacrifice herself. She's like wrapped around in like a robe or something. She's like she has like big heavy locks and chains on her, and they're about to throw her in the pond for like a sacrifice when like the commune steps in and they're like, no, it's okay. Like she proved her loyalty to the commune. Like she's okay to live. And um later when you see Connie being rolled into the temple to be burned, she's wearing the same robe that the girl was wearing. So it's to show you that they drowned Connie in that pond and that she was in that lake until they had to take her out to take her to get burned in that temple.
Oh yeah, in the original movie, you can see that her hair is wet when
Yeah.
they're wheelbarrowing her there.
Yeah, so yeah, they drowned her, which sucks. I hate that. I feel like a lot of people could have, or at least like Danny, Christian, or like they could have stopped that had they like gone to figure out who was screaming and why like she was running across the field, which really sucks. But yeah, she did not deserve that.
Yeah, I thought Connie was a nice character. She was, like thinking about it, she was kind of really like the opposite of Danny because she was, you know, she would speak for herself. When she had, an idea, she like when after watching these people cliff dive and they were like, no, this is wrong, this is weird, and they were trying to calm them down, but they were like, no. But then Danny was like, okay, I guess, um she was just very, confident, very headstrong. Her and Simon's relationship was great, and it was just, I guess, the opposite of Christian and Danny, you know. Um, but honestly, kind of like Simon, she also didn't really stand out to me as much.
Yeah, she didn't really like stand out. Like she obviously like not her nor Simon deserve what really happened to them, but they also didn't say they also didn't stand out either.
I just wanted to see her die. I was like, I want to see it. You keep screaming and shit. I want to see y'all kill the people. But I'm also a fan of 80s horror movies where it's all about the kills. So never mind. Let's talk about Ingram, who thanks to this podcast I'm realizing was like a fucking jilted, jealous, kind of not sort of ex. So he brought them there because he was jealous. I missed that. But what do you guys think about Ingram?
He just died. He really didn't do much either. Like he really was just there to get Connie and Simon there, and then he ended up just getting chosen to be sacrificed at the end.
Yeah, like what I said earlier, like he was just really vengeful. I still say he's vengeful for even bringing Connie there if he actually liked her. But I guess Simon probably wouldn't have gone if Connie hadn't gone. And it was kind of bogus that they took him and the other volunteer into the house and they gave them, I'm guessing, a part of a tree sap. And I want to say it was an anesthetic, and they still ended up feeling it after what they gave Josh, or not Josh, Christian. But it looked like he was pretty happy to be there until that other man started burning up, and that's when he got really nervous. with the fire surrounding him. But yeah, he, along with the entire movie and that one like interaction with Danny when Danny's tripping out and she's saying that they're laughing at him or her, and he's like, no, like they've been laughing this entire time. Do you want to meet my other friends? Like he was obviously mostly to the side and a background character, but he also left quite a mark on the audience too. It's not a person you really forget either. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, like after the whole, um, him basically bringing Connie there because he wanted her to die. I don't know. Like you just can't really like feel him out because yeah, because he was obviously still jealous about the relationship, and it's just like why would he bring up the whole dating thing if it was like obviously a while ago? And it was such a weird thing to say in front of her fiance. Um, and the fact that it was so one sided, and you just couldn't help but think like, so you really just brought him over here to kill him because you know for revenge or whatever. But um, yeah, he was also kind of just there. Um, I think it was just like he was kind of just there just to set up Simon and Connie, so that they could die and become sacrifices.
I don't like the movie. It had some good stuff, but overall, I just didn't enjoy the movie. But before we get into our reviews, I have some interesting facts, some behind the scenes. The budget for this movie was $9 million, and they made 48 million in the box office. Some interesting facts. This is a folk horror film, a subgenre that was made popular by the original Wicker Man in 1973. This movie was written and directed by Ari Aster and is largely inspired by a failed relationship and a breakup that Aster was going through at the time, which has to been a really really bad breakup because what the fuck. This is Ari's second film after Hereditary. This movie went production the day after Hereditary premiered. All the buildings and structure that we saw in the movie were built by the movie makers and fully functional on the soundstage and also on the set in Sweden. Well, no, because this movie was filmed in Hungary. Weird choice. Uh, the big intense sex scene. The actor Jack Jack Renard, who played Christian, insisted on the nudity because he wanted to flip it on its head that he'd be the one who'd be like shown around sexual and naked other than a woman. And shockingly, most of the bizarre rituals were actually based on facts to a degree. The um the aperture is an actual thing that they used to do back in like the Viking era or wherever the fuck. Back when they did weird rituals. I don't know how long ago that was. Some of the reviews on this, Rotten Tomatoes, the movie has an 83% rating based off 400 reviews. The IndieWire summarized that the film preserves is a perverse breakup movie, and Astor doesn't always sink the biggest surprises, but he excels at twisting the knife. Hmm. A perverse breakup scene. I want to know more about this breakup. Like, I need to know how bad his breakup was. That he was like, "Oh, this is the perfect movie I'm getting for this." Like, the Hollywood Reporter said that the movie is a horror equivalent of a destination wedding, and more unsettling and frightening, but still a trip worth taking. And I say this movie is completely horrible, but that's just me. But Maria, what do you get Midsommar out of
Look, I
5?
give it a 5 out of 5.
Why?
I love this movie. It's up there with Hereditary. I love Hereditary. I guess I just like folk horror. I like having, um like stuff behind the horror that's going on, like the rituals and little like interesting facts that gets thrown throughout the movie. I have the movie on DVD. We watch it all the time. Um I don't know. I think it's a good movie. Like it, and it's also very like aesthetically pleasing. I like that it's also in the daylight, because you get to see everything. Um and I like that, yeah, like no matter day or night, they still got killed, like no matter what. I like, Danny's character development. I like that certain people died. I thought the way they died was very interesting too. Like, like they put a lot of thought in it. um the beginning scene was great because right away you're like hooked because you're like, what the fuck just happened? And the ending too, like I feel like, I mean, it's not like horror where stuff just kind of pops up at you, but it's like, I don't know, I like that. I think I like that throughout the movie I'm like thinking and trying to figure it out and trying to guess what's gonna happen. um I liked it a lot.
Jamie, Karina.
Okay. I also give it a 5 out of 5. Just like Maria said, we have the DVD. We watch it a lot. I love the aesthetic scenery, especially at the beginning with the shots of a winter like theme and it being night with the woman singing, and then it abruptly stops with the phone
Yeah.
ringing, and then also when um, Danny gets the news, it's the violin playing until it gets interrupted by her wailing, and then it pans to the snow just getting more violent and violent, and that's only like the first 5 minutes of the film. And I just like that. Yeah, the rest of the movie isn't even at night; it's just in broad daylight, while all these pretty colors are happening, and everyone's tripping, everyone's on drugs, and yeah, this is really hooked. And also, I like that Ari Aster said that this film was supposed to be pretty straightforward. Like, even though, yeah, there was a lot of things to catch on, nothing was really hidden from you. You just had to really look at it, especially with the tapestry in the beginning and the tapestry in the community of the love potion, which I like that they have beliefs kind of like that. Like, don't step on a crack, don't break a mirror. It's kind of things like that, which I liked. And I guess that's why a lot of people didn't like it, because with horror movies, they also have like messages, I want to say, in between, or things hidden for you to like foreshadow. But he did want this film to be really like straightforward and in your face about it, unlike his other film Hereditary, which you had to kind of like guess it out, like put it together and actually put the pieces together. But with Midsummer, even though it was really straightforward, it was still a really nice movie, and they pulled it off really nicely.
Yeah. I would also give it a 5 out of 5. When we went to go see it, I will say that I barely had time to like adjust my popcorn, my soda before like we got taken into this wild ride with like a murder suicide, and like I didn't even have time to like sit down. Like it was so crazy. Um I also like that everything was a little straightforward. I really did enjoy watching Hereditary, but I like Midsummer. I like the actors there. I like the acting. I like the cinematography. Um, the music that they chose for like certain scenes, like with Danny when she finds out that her parents died, with the violin, and then it like the crazier Danny's emotions got, the crazier the music got, and the crazier the snow got, which I really enjoyed. You feel like you're going through that with her. I like um during the scene where Danny is crying about, seeing Christian like having an intimate um moment with these women, she's like crying in like one house and like crying with these women, and then it pans to like Christian in that house, and they're all like moaning with, like, I don't know if you get what I'm saying, but it's like to jump from like Danny and these women crying to like to jump from that to like Christian and these women moaning. Like I like that parallel too. Um I just enjoyed all the characters. I will say it's one of my comfort movies. I know a lot of people do find this movie disturbing because of like how graphic it is and how um crazy it can get and how it can like confuse you really fast, but I feel like once like people sit down and talk about it, like it's like, oh well, it was a pretty decent movie. But yeah.
I would give Midsommar also 5 out of 5 personally. Honestly, any movie that gives me to buy it on DVD, it automatically gets a high rating because like I just don't buy anything on DVD, so I gotta really like something for me to like buy it physically. Um, so I would give it also like 5 out of 5. The movie itself was really good and like very different in terms of like stylistic wise compared to Hereditary, especially since they were a year apart. So seeing Hereditary in 2018 and this in 2019 and seeing like the differences and like how they looked and everything, um, it was just like very very good to see. And I liked like everything in the movie. The story was really good. The setting was really nice. The fact that they actually like went out and built the whole like Harka area and everything was like really cool. Um, I just don't like. I don't have like any like particularly bad things to say about the movie. And I know some people like don't like the movie, obviously, but I just don't really have much bad to say about it. But like the good parts of it are really good, and um, like everything that went into it and how it was like a real slow burn was like it was very fitting for me. I kind of like movies that take their time to get to the ending and everything, and this one really did that. So overall, I really really liked Hereditary. Not Hereditary. I did like Hereditary, but I really like Midsommar, and I would give it a 5 out of 5. Definitely would watch it again. Seen it a couple times leading up to this episode we're doing now, and would watch it some more. And I love introducing people to this movie if they haven't seen it before. It's always interesting hearing people's takes on it, especially if you have anyone that recently got out of a relationship. This is a very interesting movie to show them.
This movie has a lot of style and no substance. It tries too hard with certain things, and a lot of things were confusing and just didn't make any sense. The characters were being stupid for no reason. I needed people to ask more questions. I needed people to be more on guard. Like I get that her mother just died, but did that just mean she was just gonna like accept everything? Like what the fuck? I just I needed more. Something was missing, and I couldn't get into this movie. Maybe I just don't like folk horror because all the ones I've seen have been bad. So I give this like a 2 out of 5. A 1 because they tried, and a 2 because it was nice.
Somebody get this man.
but but that's all, folks. Thank you all so much for listening, and we hope you guys join us next week as we hop into a brand new franchise. Thank you all so much for listening. The Haddonfield Horrors podcast is a Letters to Media production.
Should we do an intro?